Welcome to Through the Lens. Tonight, as the world grows quiet and the stars rise above the horizon, we travel together to the heart of Africa, to witness a story that feels almost like a dream of giants, of silence, and of hope. So close your eyes if you wish, and listen. This is the story of the Last White Rhino. Once, the African plains were alive with thunder. Heavy footsteps echoed across the earth as herds of white rhinos roamed free, their shadows stretching through the morning mist. They were ancient, majestic, and gentle, the guardians of the grasslands. But over time, the world changed, and the sound of life slowly faded into silence. For thousands of years, rhinos had survived everything nature could throw at them: drought, predators, even the rise and fall of empires. But they could not survive the greed of man. Hunters came for trophies, poachers came for profit, and one by one, these great creatures began to fall. By the dawn of the 21st century, only a handful remained. Among them, one stood as a symbol, a male named Sudan. He was born under an African sun, strong and full of life. He did not know he was destined to become the last of his kind. Sudan was taken from his home and sent to live in a zoo far away, in a world of walls and fences. Years passed. He grew older, quieter, watching the seasons change behind bars. But somewhere deep inside him, Africa still called. And one day, he returned home, to Kenya's Olpejeta Conservancy. There, under open skies, he could once again feel the wind, smell the rain, and walk on the same soil his ancestors had walked for millions of years. But freedom came with a price. Sudan was never truly alone. Around him stood men with guns, not to harm, but to protect. Every hour, every minute, they watched over him. Because now, he was the last hope. Beside him were two females, Najin and Fatu, the last two northern white rhinos on Earth. 3 souls, an entire species, held within their beating hearts. Scientists tried everything. They hoped for a miracle. But time is a ruthless enemy. Sudan's body was old and tired. His legs grew weak, his eyes dimmed. And in March of 2018, as the sun set across the plains, Sudan lay down for the last time. Those who stood beside him wept. They had not just lost a rhino, they had lost a friend, a teacher, a reminder of what humanity had taken for granted. When the news spread across the world, people stopped. They saw his face, gentle, wise, ancient. And for a moment, something inside all of us broke. Because in Sudan's eyes, we saw ourselves, our beauty, our cruelty, our capacity to love, and our power to destroy. Sudan's death was not just an ending, it was a warning. A message whispered through the winds of Africa. If we do not change, we will lose everything. Yet even in death, Sudan gave us hope. Scientists preserved his genetic material, a small piece of his story, kept safe for the future. They dream of a day when life might return, when a baby white rhino, carrying Sudan's blood, will walk under the same golden sky once more. It will not be easy, but hope rarely is. Najin and Fatu still live. They are guarded day and night by rangers who have dedicated their lives to protect them. These men and women stand in silence, knowing that in front of them stands the very edge of history, the last 2 of their kind. Each morning, they wake to the sound of soft footsteps, to the sight of grace and gentleness that the world may never see again. And yet, they keep believing, because belief is stronger than despair. This story, though, is not only about rhinos. It is about us, about what we value, about how easily we forget that every creature, no matter how big or small, has a place in the circle of life. We often look at the stars and search for meaning, but perhaps meaning has been right here, beside us, all along, in the heartbeat of the earth, in the quiet eyes of an animal that never wanted anything but peace. Sudan's story reminds us that life is fragile. That beauty fades when it is not protected. That extinction is not just the loss of a species. It is the loss of a story, a song, a soul. So tonight, as you listen, and the world outside your window grows still, think of the white rhino. Think of the footsteps that no longer echo. And think of what it means to care. Because the power to change the future still lies within us. Every choice we make, every tree we plant, every voice we raise, every story we tell, brings the world one step closer to healing. Through the Lens exists to tell these stories. Stories that matter. Stories that remind us that we are not alone on this planet. We share it. And every life we protect keeps the balance of our world alive a little longer. So if you find peace in these stories, if they move something deep inside you, then stay with us. Let your nights be filled not only with sleep, but with understanding. Because when we look through the lens of compassion, we see the truth, that every living being deserves to exist, to breathe, to be free. The story of the white rhino is not over. As long as someone remembers Sudan, as long as someone speaks his name, hope still lives. Thank you for watching and for feeling. This is Through the Lens, where stories of the earth come alive in the quiet of the night. If you believe these stories should never fade, join us. Subscribe and be part of a voice that protects the wild, honors life, and keeps the light of hope burning, even after the world falls asleep. Good night, and remember, the earth is still listening.